Here's my unboxing video of my USA 040 Porter, manufactured, as far as I can tell, by Bowande, and this is B-O-W-A-N-D-E, so it could be called Bowande, who knows. And as far as I can tell, it's a Chinese manufacturer, and also, as far as I can tell, it's mechanically similar to an Accuraft. So there was something called an Accuraft IDA. Now, the same sort of configuration is used in a porter, and I tell you, I'm going to drink one of those a little bit later. As I say, Accuraft IDA, but also there's a Bagnall, which looks very similar in terms of its real configuration. So here we go. It's in a box like this. The box is just about, if you were to measure it, the same dimension as the Accuraft version. Oh, that's just me doing my homework on eBay. You can buy them from other sources to the one I got it from, which was from Classic. As I say in another video where I visited the shop, this is not their current address. Well, let's do a proper unboxing. It all looks very nicely packed away in there, and I've not had it out. I'll tell you, the shop, as I say, you saw the label on the front where I got it from. He's got a few in. He clearly bought a few of these in, has a source which means he can import them directly from China, and this was clearly delivered to his shop at the old address. So there you see it. That's the, oh, sorry about the clutter behind. That makes it a little bit difficult to see the outline. What I think is a very slender chimney on it, representation of a bell. The safety valve itself is apparently under that dome. The configuration is like that there. So you've got your gas control valve, your regulator for steam, and your lever for controlling the position of the valve gear for forward and reverse, and can be used for speed control with an appropriate servo. So I bought as a power unit. Now, just want to say a little bit. A friend of mine's just bought some LGB gear. It's, or should I say, layman. As you know, G-scale stuff is increasing in price all the time. The price I paid for this from the shop is very good. So if I say it, I don't think anybody will mind, because it's a straightforward commercial thing. In the plain box, without any branding on it, as it were, it's being sold by Classic of Cleethorpes for £420. Now, while he has the current stock in, I'm sure that price will remain, but other suppliers who are getting a very similar item, but presumably from China at a later date, the price is up to £575. So prices always continue to go up. So the only way of getting things at lower prices are if you buy second hand, or from shops where they have managed to get the stock directly, or are selling off older stock that they've paid less for when they bought it in, and therefore can still make a profit by selling it for a little bit for more than what they've paid for it. But obviously, as they get new stock in, they've got to make their markup on things. So as a power unit then, which has, let me put the foam down there, you know, good control in there, and what I've seen others describe as Stephenson's slip eccentric. So what we see on there underneath is a single valve block in the middle there, from the regulator, but also a couple of eccentrics on that wheel there, and valves above the cylinders as well. Let me say I really don't know how those work to change the phasing. I'm going to have to look that up, i.e. the phasing can be adjusted, you can see screws in there, so that it will go in forwards or reverse, and it will also adjust the speed as an alternative to the steam regulator adjusting the speed. But it has two pistons to drive it, which look of a substantial size. So you've got two pistons driving it, and then the slip eccentrics from that wheel at the back driving the valve motion to control the phasing of the opening of the steam into the cylinders to control speed and direction. So it's got a proper thing there, good bit of clearance between the boiler, representation of a saddle tank on there. But these things all come off, the cap comes off, and there are people who make brass etchings to put on different sorts of cabs, so it's readily modifiable to make something else. So as a power unit it's good. So there we go, what I believe is a good price for the model, especially compared to what you pay for other live steam devices. And it's got the you know, all the workings there. Not been steamed yet by me, and therefore that's something else which is going to be shown clearly in another video, because this is just talking about obtaining for yourself a live steam model for a relatively small amount of money, and therefore, if you're anything like me, one that you're not going to be scared of adapting to your own preferences. So that will be another thing. First of all, seeing it run, and then secondly, adapting it into something else, as I say, adaptable into a Bagnall and a sort of locomotive that might have run over here rather than this one. The smoke box door, I believe, does open, and that's it basically. Quick look at it. If you want to know any more about it, then I'll do some research, and I can also have a look round. I'll be investigating exactly how the Stephenson's slip eccentric works on this thing, but there'll be something on the internet that would tell me. And the other thing is, look, you will obviously, or anybody would presumably want to put remote control onto it as well, to make it easier to control on the track. Right, major difference between this and the Rydal one, I think, lack of pressure gauge. So it does come without a pressure gauge, but other than that, if anybody knows of, and so the instructions say, allow it to go until the pressure relief valve starts blowing off steam. So that's how you know when it's got up to pressure, and then it will run for approximately 10 minutes on one tank fill of gas and one fill of water. So a basic model without pressure gauge is the first thing that is, you know, something about this to bear in mind. If you want something, it is nice to have a pressure gauge on them, I believe. It's also without sight glass, but there are ways of checking that you've got enough water to start with, and making sure that you never refill the gas tank without refilling the water first, and making sure that it's properly full. So a couple of things before I start running it that clearly I need to be aware of. But if you know of a lower cost way of getting yourself a live steam, please comment on it. I'd be interested to hear about it. The only other thing I got were some sets of wheels to do some other projects So we'll see what, and not just some sets of wheels. I also got some locomotive lamps. Interested to hear what you think.